How does Priestley present Inspector Goole? In the stage directions, Inspector Goole creates an impression of massiveness and purposefulness. He speaks carefully, and his distinct one line of inquiry at a time shows the audience how each character contributes towards the downfall of Eva Smith. Inspector Goole behaves the same throughout the play, and in doing so, controls its structure. The omniscient inspector's superb questioning style creates several breathtaking cliffhangers. In Act 3, it is revealed that he is not a police inspector, which intensifies the dramatic tension already created in the play. The inspector's unexpected arrival abruptly disrupts Mr. Berlin's talk about community and all that nonsense. Priestley intentionally introduces him at this point, and his presence is made with a sharp ring of a front door bell. Perhaps Inspector Goole's motive is to shatter Mr. Berling's capitalistic ideas about a man has to mind his own business and to look after himself and his own. It is clear that the inspector is not impressed with Mr. Berling's wealth and status. He talks about a chain of events that Mr. Berling activates when he dismisses Eva Smith, and what happened to her afterwards results in her tragic death. Inspector Goole employs aggressive and shocking language to make the characters feel guilty for the part they played in Eva Smith's death. He tells Sheila that Eva Smith drank some disinfectant and died several hours later of agony. This graphic image, explained in a matter-of-fact way, clearly has a deep impact on Sheila's emotions. Dramatic tension in the play deepens when we shortly discover that Sheila also plays a role in the untimely death of Eva Smith. Inspector Goole remarks, "You might have been jealous of her and used the power you had to punish the girl." Sheila is incapacitated with guilt, but the inspector reassures her when he says, "You're partly to blame, just as your father is." Sheila gives the audience some clues about the uniqueness of the inspector when she perceptively observes at the end of Act 1, "Of course he knows, and I hate to think how much he knows that we don't know yet. You'll see, you'll see." No character can escape Inspector Goole's questioning, and both Gerald Croft and Mrs. Berling initially deny any involvement with Eva Smith, Daisy Renton, but are quickly exposed. In fact, the inspector actually makes Gerald confess to the surreptitious affair in the presence of someone whom he has just proposed to. Inspector Goole, like the audience, is thoroughly appalled at Mrs. Berling's insensate cruelty. He gives her a stark warning, which she completely ignores. "I think that you did something terribly wrong, and that you're going to spend the rest of your life regretting it." It is indeed Inspector Goole's brilliant line of inquiry that makes Mrs. Berling put the entire blame on the father of the child. Inspector Goole does remind the completely demoralized Eric that he uses Eva Smith as if she was an animal, a thing, not a person. Inspector Goole has no trouble articulating his frustration with the Berling family when he states, "I haven't much time. You'll be able to divide the responsibility between you when I've gone." He is in total control of the entire situation and seems to have complete power over the other characters. Before departing, Inspector Goole states, "We are all responsible for each other," and warns of a terrible prophecy, that a time will soon come when they will be taught it in fire and blood and anguish. As the play set in 1912, this foreshadows the catastrophic two world wars that occurred. Inspector Goole informs the Burling family, "Each of you helped to kill her. Remember that. Never forget it." All the members of the Burling family stoically listen when Inspector Goole tells them, "We don't live alone. We are members of one body. We are responsible for each other." Inspector Goole brings the dramatic tension of the play to a crescendo. When he leaves, the characters are completely broken, emotionally, mentally, and morally. When it is revealed that the inspector is a fake, there is a distinct possibility that Eva Smith could also be unreal, and it was all a joke. For those, Mr. and Mrs. Burling and Gerald Croft, who think they can ignore what Inspector Goole said just because he was not real, a shocking reminder is given in the final line when Arthur Burling slowly declares, "A girl has just died, and a police inspector is on his way here to ask some questions." As this quote suggests, Eva Smith is a real person, and those present will now have to accept and admit the wrongs that they have done in the past. It is not entirely clear who Inspector Goole is, and Priestley leaves it up to the audience to decide. His name Goole is a homophone of ghoul, which could suggest he is a ghost. Is Inspector Goole the ghost of the unborn child coming to haunt them, or the ghost of Eva Smith wanting revenge? Is Priestley expressing his socialist views through Inspector Goole?